Welcome back, viewers. I'm back again. My name is Desiree Garces, and today we are joined by two people from Petrofund. We have Mr. Lucas. Welcome.
Thank you.
And welcome, Ms. Elizabeth, as well.
Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with you, Ms. Elizabeth, and then I will move on to you, Lucas. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ms. Elizabeth, you are a personal assistant for the CEO.
Correct.
So please give us a bit more insight on what that is. What do you do as the personal assistant?
Right. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for this opportunity that is available to us, and I would like to welcome the viewers. Basically, my duty as a personal assistant to the CEO, or rather the assistant to the CEO, is basically just to actually be the link between the organization, fellow staff members, and the CEO, as well as external stakeholders. My duty basically on a daily basis consists of managing the diary for the CEO, scheduling meetings, responding to emails and telephone inquiries, and as well as assisting our holders, scholarship holders, with whatever assistance that they need. And yeah, basically that's in short what's
in
my
a
work
nutshell.
entail. In a nutshell, yes.
Okay, so what can one study, and what did you study to be able to be in the position to be an assistant to a CEO?
Basically, this job is more about administration.
Okay.
So any diploma in administration or relevant will actually be the required qualification for this job. You also need to basically have quite a good skills of communication, as well as interpersonal skills, because this is actually, you are communicating with everybody in the organization, as well as external stakeholders. So it is actually very much important that you have a very good command of administration, as well as also good organizational skills.
Yes, I would imagine, I mean, if you have to assist somebody in such a high position, you would definitely have to have really good organizational skills.
Definitely, definitely.
So what I wanted to know was, what does a day in your life look like?
Well, sure. Starting my day, basically you need to, I start with reviewing the diary for the CEO. It's very much important because you need to know how her day look like, so that you also be able to schedule the meetings as they come in. You also be able to know whether she's available to see people that would like to talk to her. And then, of course, one of the things that keep me busy is emails, inquiries about scholarships, about any other services that we offer. Although we open our scholarship during this time, which is between July and September, these inquiries are coming in throughout the year, because as the school starts, from January or throughout, you'll find parents that have put their children into schools, and at the end of the day, they'll find out that they don't have the financial means, and Petrofund actually offer funding for school. So you have all these inquiries coming in. Then, of course, I have to monitor the progress of our scholarship holders, and also give guidance whenever necessary. I also arrange trips for the CEO. Yeah, basically that's what it is in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you, Ms. Elizabeth. So now I'm going to move on to you, Mr. Lucas. So you are a geoscientist intern, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me a bit about first, what did you study to be able to be a geoscientist intern? And then you can tell me a bit about your journey and how you ended up where you are now.
Okay. Thanks for the opportunity to be on a set with you. And I studied geology first at UNAM,
Okay.
and that's just in a broad and generalized way. Well, and then after that, I had to go and major into petroleum geology. So I got my scholarship with the guys from Petrofund. They funded me, and I went to the UK, and I studied macropaleontology.
Okay.
And it's funny because every time I say that, people get to want me to say it twice. So for that, I'm just going to say it anyway. I studied micropaleontology,
Okay.
and it's really a fun course. I get to work with microfossils, and I'm just interested into determining age for different rock units that these petroleum guys are all interested in. Not just the geologist, but anybody else in the industry.
In the industry, okay.
Yeah, so it's a specialized skill, but really of significance once you deliver quality results and data and stuff like that.
Okay, you mentioned, results and data. Please, because I don't know what the geoscientist does. And maybe there are learners out there or viewers out there who feel the same way. So just tell us a bit about what it is that you do. What does a geoscientist do?
Okay, well, perhaps I should just add to that note that
Okay.
geology itself is actually a broad field. So you find many divisions. For instance, you have guys who studied hydrogeology. These are the guys who deal with water. And you can find them, for instance, employed by the Ministry of Land Reform, Water, and stated somewhere there on our journey here, located somewhere there on our journey here. And these guys help with locating sites for boreholes, and then you find guys who are working in the mines. And actually, when somebody thinks about geology, that's the first thought that comes to their mind, that is, oh, it's those guys who work in the mines and work with exploration companies in search of precious metals and stuff like that. And then you also find people like me who are into petroleum geology. Now, to answer your question, obviously, I just have to draw back to petroleum geology, which I'm well acquainted with.
Okay.
And that's, for us, we have to first locate if we even have oil at all. So we are like the first guys who deal with this kind of business. And then later you have your engineers and economists and every other parties coming in.
Okay.
What we do is, we locate where oil is. It's a little bit complex if I have to take it into the specifics here.
Okay.
But in a nutshell, that's what we do.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds very interesting and important. But so what I also want to know is, the theme for this year is unfolding your skill set. So unfolding your skill set is basically, in a nutshell, it's the first aid kit that you need to step out into the corporate world, basically. So you are somebody who got a bursary or funding from Petrofund. So please tell the learners and the viewers a bit about how that came about. How did you apply? How did you, find out about it? And basically.
Yeah. Okay. Petrofund get to advertise their opportunities through public media. You can find it on, it can be published in the newspaper or maybe on social media and stuff like that. And then I just came across this course, and before I saw and came across that offer and advertisement in the newspaper, I was actually informed that this is a course that had been advertised for years and nobody actually wanted to take it. So I just did a back study on it, and I wanted to find out what is it all about. So I applied while I was still at the university. But even if you have completed your studies, obviously, because you must be interested, they can fund either undergraduate or postgraduates. And at my level, I was going for postgraduate studies, so I applied, and then I got an interview. And because the UK, universities in the UK usually starts towards the end of the year in September, I first got the conditional offer from these guys, and then later I applied to the university, got admitted, and then after that, it became unconditional.
Okay, you mentioned something about the UK.
Yeah.
Is that where you went to study?
Yeah, I went to study in the UK. Petrofund usually fund postgraduate courses that are around the petroleum industry. And they usually send their students to the UK or perhaps to countries like France or Canada, you know. And these courses is convincing to send to such countries because masters there are usually for a shorter period of time, just for a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
I know that like when I was in high school, the thought of getting a bursary that could take you out of the country really excites you. So even
Yeah.
if that's something that can motivate some of the viewers, I hope that you took that.
Yeah.
So lastly, there's actually one more question that I wanted to ask Ms. Elizabeth, because I've never even had a conversation or met somebody who's an assistant to a CEO. So I wanted to know lastly, what are the perks, what are the fun parts about being a CEO's assistant?
I think the fun part is that you actually exposed. You really to learn quite a lot because it's actually fun if you are an extrovert person.
Okay.
Because you really tend to communicate a lot with people within the organization as well as outside the organization. But for me specifically, the fun part is that I happen to have actually a very good leader, so to say. My CEO is really quite a leader. She is really passionate about growth. And that's why even for the Petrofund, she is really, she's really taking Petrofund to higher heights. Since last year, we have started actually to train for specific needs and linking to specific organizations, because one of the challenge in actually our country is actually finding opportunities for jobs. So what we have actually started doing is to engage relevant stakeholders to make sure that as we trained, we are already thinking of where these people will be placed. And that actually gives you quite an excitement, because you are actually engaged with different organizations, and also you are engaged with different people of different characters, and you just grow, on a daily basis, actually, on a personal level as well as professionally.
Okay, that's very interesting. And I'd also like to divert the same question to you. What are the fun parts about what you do? And also, the fact that you went to the UK, other than your job, what else did you bring with for us?
Well, I'll first address the latter part of your question, then the former. While in the UK, obviously, we're just curious about different country, get an exposure to different people, different backgrounds. So you pick up a thing or two. You just learn how the world operates. I mean, beyond the Namibian context and beyond the African context. I believe we had all the fun while trying to manage and keep up with our studies. But in the midst of that, I went to the UK in 2019 to 2020, and just around about March, the COVID came on board, and it was all cut short. It was just focusing on your studies, maybe take a walk on a canal, and just trying to keep your head up high until you manage and successfully complete your studies. Well, then I came back to Namibia and I got an offer with Namcor, which was jointly funded by Petrofund and by Namcor. So I'm an intern in a development and production department. And what I do there, well, we work with a diverse team. You have petroleum geologists, you have petroleum engineers and petroleum economists, I should say. You get to learn from all these guys, and because I'm an intern, I actually get to do all the donkey work, work with an engineer at some point, with an economist at some point. But I feel like it's an advantage and a great opportunity, because you get to learn a lot on a broader context within the dynamics of the petroleum industry and stuff like that, which I feel privileged to.
I'm glad. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us here. I believe that just like myself, there are a lot of other people who learned a lot from you, from the two of you today. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sit that-
Welcome back, viewers. My name is Desiree Garces, and I'm still joined by Miss Elizabeth and Lucas. So we wanted to know, is there anything that you would like to ask me? This is what we call the bonus question. It can come from you, it can come from her.
well, once again, thanks for the opportunity. I probably should have done a little bit of background study on you guys, but I just wanted to know from you, what's the purpose of this initiative?
Okay.
Like the Career Virtual Expo.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Career Virtual Expo is something that was organized by the youth brand of Namibia Media Holdings, which is MyZone, right? And MyZone aims to empower the youth at all times. So they decided to come up with this Career Expo virtually, firstly because the regulations, it obviously cannot be face-to-face, and also because MyZone works with about 51 schools in all over the country. And usually when one is in high school, grade 11, grade 12, when you're about to leave school, you're not really sure about what you want to do. So things like career expos really help you decide, okay, maybe, you know, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a geoscientist, I want to be a personal assistant, I want to, you know, you get the option.
Okay.
And also, our theme for this year was unfolding your skill set. And I mentioned it before, but unfolding your skill set is basically the skills that you need, the first aid kit that you need to go out into the real world, into the corporate world. And this is why we are doing this, because as much as people wouldn't like to admit it, or as much as, people don't realize, a lot of the time you finish school, you're in grade 12, you don't know what happens after that. Sometimes people study, go through their 3-4 years, get their bachelor's degrees, but then after that, it's a question of what now. So this is where my zone came in, to get people from different career paths, people who are doing different things, to come give people an insight, or learners or viewers an insight on different career paths and possibly options,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you, just before she gets the opportunity, when did you start with this? Because you mentioned that since people can meet on site and stuff like that, you had to go virtually. When did you start
Okay,
with this
it
initiative?
started last year actually.
Last year.
It started last year. This is our second one, but it's definitely something that's going to be annually. So it's our second annual virtual career VX.
Oh, all right. That's all from my side.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, I just want to come in there. You've
Okay.
mentioned that you are actually dealing with about 51
51
schools.
Yes.
So I just want to find out, is this something that can be extended for more than once in a year, or this is just a setup that you're only doing it once in a year?
Okay, well, it has only been done once a year, because the first time it was done was last year, and the second time that it's being done is this year. So I think the option is definitely there for, I think the capacity is there for it to be done more than once in a year, but it's only been done once. It was done once last year, and this is the first time that it's happening this year. Yes. But it's always like, it's on our Facebook pages, on our Namibian Sun, our My Zone page, our career pages. So it's definitely something somebody can go back to and go watch if they didn't know about it, or they weren't, yeah, they didn't see it. So it's definitely something somebody can go back to. Yeah. Well,
Thank you very much.
no, thank you so much for joining me once again. And yeah.